I would like to call this meeting to order, Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019.
Opening statement and roll call. Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular meeting of the Howell Township Council was provided for in the following manner: by the posting of a copy of said notice upon the bulletin board in the Township Municipal Building on January 3, 2019, by the copy of said notice to the Tri-Town News and Star Ledger for information and publication on January 3, 2019, by the filing of a copy of said form of notice in the Township Clerk's office on January 3, 2019. The public will be allowed to attend and will be allowed to participate pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Law. The public is reminded that civility and decorum will be maintained during the meeting. Any contracts awarded at this meeting or between now and the next meeting will be required to comply with the requirements of Public Law 1975, Chapter 127. In accordance with the Fire Prevention Code, be advised that this facility is designed with emergency exits for your safety. Upon exiting the meeting room, they are to your left and to your right. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in the municipal building. Please take note that this meeting is being videotaped for possible future broadcast on Howell Television. Roll call, Mr. Bonovich.
Present.
Ms. Richmond.
Present.
Mr. Russo.
Here.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell.
Here.
Mayor Berger.
Present. Is there any reason to go into executive session this evening?
Yes, Mayor, we have a long list of items encompassing attorney-client privilege, litigation, and contract negotiations.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to close and go into executive.
So moved.
Second?
Whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell is authorized pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12 to exclude the public from that portion of the meeting for purposes of discussing specific matters as permitted by NJSA 10:4-12, whereas the governing body of the Township of Howell intends to discuss certain matters which are deemed confidential pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12. Whereas at this time, the governing body of the Township of Howell cannot determine the time when a discussion to be held in executive session will be made public, but will disclose the minutes of executive session when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the Township of Howell that this meeting shall be adjourned to an executive session, and the public will be excluded in order that the governing body of the Township of Howell may discuss the items previously listed. And upon reconvening the public meeting, the presiding officer will announce, if possible, the time when and the circumstance under which the discussion conducted in executive session will be disclosed to the public. Roll call, Mr. Bonovich.
Yes.
Ms. Richmond.
Yes.
Mr. Russo.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mayor Berger.
Yes. Okay. I'd like to call this meeting to order, oh my goodness, at 8:30 this evening, January 22nd, 2019. The executive session minutes from tonight's meeting will be disclosed to the public when the need for confidentiality no longer exists. I would like to stand, say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then have a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So I guess we need a motion. Evelyn, you have to make a motion,
Yes, I will make a motion to accept the minutes of December 11th, 2018.
and I will step down and second that motion.
And I will be only taking the roll call for Deputy Mayor O'Donnell and Mayor Berger for those minutes. Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Motion to accept the minutes of January 1st, 2019.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. I do have a question. So since we found that there was an error in what we've done, does that mean that the minutes need to be amended to reflect
can only offer my opinion.
The shade tree?
No, because that's the action that we took at the time. We're going to move to correct that.
Okay, okay.
And so the
Fine.
minutes of that meeting will reflect the changes that are made.
All right, thank you. Good question. Okay. Do we have any reports?
No, Mayor, we do not.
I do, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor, changes from the preliminary to the final agenda include resolutions added. 9A20, authorize Environmental Commission to prepare and submit Sustainable Jersey Grant application. Resolution 9A21, reject the dedication of open space in a detention basin by SEMA LLC, Haystack Glen, in connection with its application for amended final major subdivision approval before the Howell Township Planning Board, Maxim Southard Road and Lanes Pond Road. Resolution 9A22, add Asbury Park Press as official newspaper for Howell Township. Removed from the agenda. Part of 9B1 was appointments to Shade Tree Commission, alternate two-member appointment, and that will not be, no action will be taken this evening. Removed from the agenda, ordinance 11.1, 2019 salary ordinance. That's your changes to your agenda, Mayor.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
Did you want that ordinance removed or just an explanation?
We're going to do it for the
Explanation.
next meeting, right? Didn't we just say that?
Okay.
It's really council's decision. If I've said something incorrectly, please say so.
The next meeting.
We were going to table it, yeah.
To the next meeting.
Okay.
Mrs. Wellman?
Okay. So I would like to open this portion of the meeting for hearing of citizens and public comment. I will call your name from the list. Ellen Riccardi?
Yes. This is the first time I ever did this, so I don't know
So
what I'm
please come up to the mic, state your name and address, and then your concern.
Okay. It's Ellen Riccardi, 66 Seattle Slough Drive, Howell.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's Oak Hill Mobile Home Park. And the reason I'm here is because I can't park in my driveway. I haven't been able to park in my driveway since May of 2018, last year. It's too much of a pitch, and I damaged my car trying to get in there. They have the right to tow your car away if it's left out on the street, and so what am I supposed to do? I need my driveway fixed, and Oak Hill won't do it. Since I put this complaint in to them, they didn't do anything. I finally had code enforcement come there. They measured everything, said it's out of code. And I heard nothing. I went back to code enforcement in November, and they said that your lawyers have been in touch with Oak Hill's lawyers, and because it was in code 20 years ago, that they don't have to fix my driveway. In the meantime, I'm paying rent there, and I can't use my driveway.
So this is the first time that I've heard about this, so I would need to.
Well, I did
rely-
call to speak to you. They took your email address at the receptionist's office and said they would relate the message to you, but I didn't hear
Maybe
back
just
from that
got
either.
Lost her, not, maybe I just didn't see it.
Mayor, if you want, I can speak with code enforcement and
Please.
find out where everything stands with that
Thank
and
you.
circle up.
Mayor, actually, we've been out there. Part of the problem is it's a private site, so we don't have any real say on that site. There is an inspection done yearly as far as the overall, but it doesn't get down into the details of Ms. Riccardi's issue here. The driveway, I don't believe, has changed. The driveway's been in place. I believe you got a different car, right? And the new car is lower?
No,
And it scrapes?
3 cars, and all 3 cars can't park in the driveway. All 3 cars scrape the driveway. In September, I had Bob Rouet there and his 2 managers. The girl got in the car with me, and I tried to drive it in the driveway, and it started to scrape. The Mustang, not my car. And I had to stop. I need to be able to park in my driveway. That's my right. I'm paying rent there. A lot of rent.
I understand that, but understand that we're limited in what we can require the private site to do. And I think that's where the attorneys had gotten involved and said, you know, when this was built, it met the code at the time, it doesn't meet the ADA code today, but since no work has gone on there, that they felt they didn't need to replace anything. Now, Joe, have you had any conversations with them recently about that?
I have not.
So I don't think their position has changed from the last time.
Since September, when I put in the complaint with the code enforcement, they've done 4 people's. They've done 2 sidewalks and 2 people's driveways, but not mine. And when I went up to Keith while he was doing one,
Who did
Keith
it?
Lackey.
Who did?
Oak Hill did work there since I've put in the complaint. 4 of them. And I said to Keith, when are you doing mine? I'm the one that put the complaint in. I'm the one that needed it done. And he just looked at me, goes, I don't know, and he turned and walked away. So they've done 4.
Okay. But that was not at our direction. Like, we didn't force them or require them to replace that. So I don't know why they did it. That must have been on their own recognizance for their own reasons, unfortunately.
The sidewalk where it's at, there's a gap, which I measured with a rule stick, and it's at least 1.5 inches with a rule stick. I did a yardstick. I tripped over that, bringing in my trash can. Thank God I was holding on to my trash can, or I would have fallen. Right where the driveway is, right where the issue is.
I'm not quite sure where to move forward with this, since it's a private, we have no
Hey, Jim, have we spoken
say.
to the HOA? Is there an HOA?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the conversations that my staff has had with their people, and I believe that's the result is they don't want to replace it. I don't know why, but I don't really have any power to force them to do it.
Can we send a letter from the governing body to the HOA recommending they look at this?
Well, that's a question for Joe.
Sure, and that's something I'll look into. I mean, this is the first time hearing about it, so I'll speak with
Same
code
with me, yeah.
enforcement, and we'll see what we can do.
Thank you.
But I appreciate that, but in the meantime, I can't park in my driveway. I did get, it's not a new car, I bought it, it's a 2004 BMW. I can't park it in the driveway, and when it snows, they have the right to tow your car away off the street. So I'm in a dilemma, and I'm paying a lot of rent there for...
Well, but I think, as you, just to reiterate, right? So Township Council is going to look at the case because none of us have heard anything really about this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we get direction from council, we can then talk to you about it. We just heard that it's private, so we can't really,
Well, don't they
make
still have to
somebody-
stay up to code even though they're private?
Well, yes,
I mean,
which is
anybody could
why-
let anything fall down if it's private. They should still
There-
have to be up to
There's
code.
no requirement to make somebody rip out sidewalk that was built to code at the time.
So it doesn't have to stay up to code now.
If
So
they
in
were-
other words,
if they
I
were
can't
to
park in my driveway.
If they were to replace it, then yes, it would need to be brought to the current codes, but much like every other
so it's grandfathered
building.
in, you're saying?
Correct, just like every other building and site in the town. I mean, it's only when you touch it to bring it up to new codes, are you required to bring it to the new codes.
Well,
If
they've
there's no work being
they've
done-
done the other ones. Why aren't they doing mine? They've done 4 other ones.
Have you
But-
had that discussion?
I can't even, they don't even answer. They just don't answer. They don't answer. I get nowhere with them. I think they think this is just gonna go away. It's not. I have to be able to park in my driveway. Me and my family and my friends, I have to tell people, don't try to go in my driveway because you're gonna scrape and do damage to the bottom of your car. That's ridiculous. At one time, I was telling everybody, get out of the car so that I could pull in, but now it's sunk. It's sunken in. I have pictures. It wasn't like this 20 years ago when I moved in. All those bricks weren't sunken down into the tar like they are now. In 20 years, it's gone down. It's, whatever you want to call it. I'm just so angry that I shouldn't have to have gone through this extent to get them to fix my driveway. This is horrendous. Especially since I have the pictures of them doing 4 other ones. It's 2 pieces of cement and some little blocks. I pay them $764 a month just to rent that land and a driveway that I can't even use.
Well, we absolutely understand and respect your concerns, but we really need some information to be able to guide you.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with that. Whatever you can do to move these people to help me.
I will get the information, I'll move as quickly as I can for you.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. I am going to butcher this name, and I am sorry. You're already laughing. Jamond?
Yes. Go ahead with the last name.
He wants to hear you say it. Come on.
I feel like I'm in school.
Zianwuka?
Perfect. That's
Really?
good. Yes, Iziomuka. Yes.
Please, your address.
Yes, hey, my name is Jaman Iziomuka, and 6 Woodview Drive in Ramtown. Yeah.
How can we help you?
Yeah, so me and my family, my wife, my kids, we recently moved to Ramtown, and we are the owners of Easy Fitness Transformation Center, and we saw a perfect place in Quail Creek, and we want to open our transformation center there. So we contacted Quail Creek Mile Management and signed the contract, and so we're building out the facility. But however, we got hit with a zoning issue. So
You didn't necessarily get hit with it. The
No,
zoning issue is
know,
there.
I know. I mean, we didn't. I honestly didn't know that there was a zoning on the
Well,
issue.
Did the owners of Quail Creek know what their property was zoned for?
So we looked up neighborhood commercial zoning, and it said retail use and service use, and prior in the plaza, there had always been in the past. Microphone! Sorry. In the past, there had been fitness businesses. There had been a Curves and Scrimmage Fitness for men. So it just didn't occur to us that there could be such a rule. There had been a karate studio, a dance studio as well. So being as it's a large neighborhood commercial center, these kind of uses are just a natural fit. And it just, we didn't realize there was, in the chart of uses, it somehow had left out neighborhood commercial. It only came to our attention last week from Matt Howard in land use.
Mr. Herman?
Yes, so, welcome to Howell. Unfortunately, I can't speak for how the prior Curves or other men's, was it a men's fitness place you had mentioned, were actually allowed to be in there. Maybe they were allowed, or maybe they were put in there without permits or something along the lines back when they were there. All I can speak for is our work of today. Unfortunately, when, I don't even know how it was brought about, but I guess you spoke with Matt from my office about the approved uses in that zone. And I believe the gyms are not an approved use in the neighborhood commercial zone. Now, that zone is limited to, I want to say 3 or 4 small areas around town, one being the Quail Creek Mall area, another being a small piece just south of Farmingdale. The other one is over by Adelphia, and there might be one more small section. I can tell you that there was discussion of putting gyms in those areas in the past. One of the problems or pitfalls that the prior council had seen was big box gyms. Nobody wanted to see a very large retail, 25,000 square foot gym in a small area like that. Okay, so because our ordinance was not specific to this type of gym versus that type of gym, there was nothing that really prohibited a large, gym to be unnamed, which we have probably 5 or 6 of in town, to go in a facility like that, just because of the size considerations. So we have a couple options. We are currently looking to potentially amend some of our zoning ordinances. I've spoken to some of you, the council members already about that. We're going to be speaking to the planning board and looking into a master plan review, which would potentially modify some zones around town, but try to get more uses in certain zones. We could talk about that with our planning board planner and our planning board and see if they're interested in putting gyms in the NC zone or the neighborhood commercial zone. And if so, would they want to make it a permitted use or a conditional use, which would put potential restrictions on that facility. So we could create those, or the planning board could create those, and then we could go through the process and get them permitted. Now, I don't know what type of facility you operate. You know, is it a CrossFit gym type facility?
It's a group training. We do small group training and personal training, so
Okay.
it's not a big box.
Is there outdoor aspects to this?
Door?
Okay, so that was part of another concern from a few years ago, was if we did have some sort of facility like that where you're flipping tires in the parking lot, you're running around the complex constantly, you know, there was talk about people not wanting that, especially in some of these other retail areas where, you know, nobody wanted to have to worry about walking out of the pharmacy and getting hit with the 3 people running by all the time.
Yes.
Right? So those are 2 of the reasons why I can pretty much tell you that gyms were not allowed in the NC zone at the time. So if this is not that, and we want to put restrictions on it, where you can't do that in these zones, but we make it a conditional use, we could do that. Size-wise, how many square feet were you talking?
We have 2,000 square feet.
So 2,000 square feet. Is there a limit? Potentially, we could say, okay, 2,500 square feet is the limit, is the biggest facility we would allow based on certain tenant spaces?
Right, I think you need some information on that, you know, capacity, how many
Right.
people are going to be in the building, parking. So, I mean, this is not a discussion that we could have. We would have to really sit down and have a
Right, I
discussion.
think that's definitely something we can do, and, you know, based on our conversations we've already had about some zone changes, I think we can potentially add this into the master plan review, and then have the planning board present it to the governing body, and the governing body can then choose to introduce it or not.
Jim, for fears, the past council was actually the big box was always the worry of a retro or whatever going into the zone.
It was namely big box and then too much outdoor activity.
So if we cap the size and put restrictions, I'd be okay with that.
Okay.
What is the timeframe for the master plan review that he had mentioned? Because we kind of want to get Jamond open. We overlooked this, and he's been, you know, marketing and wants to open ASAP. So how can we make it happen in the shorter term, if
What does
possible?
ASAP mean? That's the key question here.
The ideal world would be next week, but we understand that we're coming to you today, you know, and we
I would
understand-
love to share that world with you.
We understand that's unrealistic as a goal, but, you know, I'm just wondering if the master plan is something that's done, how often?
Well, the master plan, first we'd have to get a proposal from our planning board planner and get the planning board master plan subcommittee on board. And understand that there's many more other potential changes we're looking to make. Not all big, they're all kind of reasonable that we're going to start talking about. But that will take, let's say, a month or 2 after I get a proposal, just to get it done, the report written, make sure it's in conformity with our master plan, get it approved by the planning board to submit to the council. So the planning board does the initial work where they say, yes, we think this is a good idea. They present it to the governing body. The governing body is then charged with voting for it to say, yes, we agree. If they do that, it takes ordinance changes, which are 2 meetings, and then 20 days. We'll work with you on the 20 days. I mean, that's, you know, as long as it's going in the right direction, we can work a little bit together and get you open. But, I mean, this is not a quick process at all. This will take probably 3 to 4 months at the earliest.
Could we possibly look into revising the ordinance?
That would be revising the ordinance.
That is, okay, because I
Yeah.
thought the revising the ordinance might be, like, it's presented in 2 weeks, the ordinance, and then, you know, it's.
For something like this, I think it would need to go to the master plan subcommittee, just because of the timing of all the other changes we want to do. You know, there's a potential, maybe we can talk afterwards about some other opportunities in the meantime. I'm not sure if the council will agree, but maybe there's another alternative we can think about.
Well, if you could share those alternatives with us, then maybe we could discuss those alternatives. But
So
I
the
would-
only
I would
the only option I see is a temporary use permit. So they would have to go to the zoning board of adjustment, getting a temporary use permit, okay? Which means you still have to make a presentation to the zoning board. It's not a full application like a regular zoning board application would be. It's kind of a modified application. And then you pitch your reasons why you think it's a good idea. The zoning board would approve it. They would then ship it to the council. The council would have to sign off on it. And then you could say, all right, we think that we'll allow his proposed use to go in that facility for a period of 3 to 6 months or something along those lines. We've done a few cases like that in the past. When I say a few, I'm thinking probably 3 or 4 in 6 or 7 years. So not a lot, but it has happened. But that's going to be up to you guys if you feel that, you know, this is really going to go in the right direction, because I would hate to then give them a temporary use permit to open for 3 months, and then at the end of 3 months, the planning board says this is not consistent with our master plan, and we don't want to do it. We don't want to allow gyms in the NC zone. Then you could be in
But
trouble.
it would meet all the criteria with being a small studio, 10 people, group training, 15 max, not being outside, no tire flipping. We don't do that. We don't run outside with our shirts off. Like, we train 95% women, so
No burpees
on the
on the sidewalk?
front of, no, none of that. So, and, you know, if we meet all that, would that speed up the process of getting?
Well, the rules haven't been written yet, essentially. So we would have to write the rules first to know that you even conform to them. So, you know, we can get some general ideas hashed out with the planning board, maybe a little quicker, but not much.
Well, I can tell you, I'd be for an expedited review of this, because I know the nature of the gym business. I was in the gym business a while ago, and I know that you guys rely heavily on this time, January, February, March. Those are your key months to get members. I want to see you do well. I understand exactly what kind of gym it is, and I definitely, I think Mr. Bonovich alluded to the restrictions, and he'd be okay with it. I'd be okay with those restrictions as well. If you can get us something quickly, I don't think you'd have an issue with the council, but your first hurdle would be the zoning board, right, Jim?
Well, I think that
I
Joe,
think in essence, the council has to make the decision if we will move forward within this path, right? I think that's the first decision that you have to make. Because
I would agree.
if we don't agree to do that, why are we sending anybody to the zoning board?
Well, I misunderstood the process. I thought that you go to the zoning board first.
We
but-
have to add it to our list of modifications.
So,
well, there's two different ways to do it. One would be the temporary use permit. The temporary use permit goes to the zoning board then to the council, and the council says yes. That gives them an ability to operate on a temporary basis for a certain time period that you determine. And then the full process would be going to the planning board subcommittee. They draft the ordinance revision. That then goes to the planning board full committee. They approve it, send it to the council introduces, and then finally adopts it. So those are the two processes, short and long.
So the temporary usage one would take how long for them to get that, opposed to the 2 to 3 to 4 months? Are we looking at a quicker expedition of that for them?
If we can get it onto a zoning board agenda, which right now is packed through April, if we can, if we can
Zoning.
make it a quick application where we can add it right at the beginning of one of the meetings and try to get it in and out in 10 minutes, so we don't really push all the rest of the cases that have to be noticed and heard and all that stuff. You know, we've done that before where we've tried to accommodate applications like this, so we could try to do that, and that would be the next zoning board meeting, depending on how fast you can get your application in. So maybe that would be within the next 2 to 3 weeks. And then that has to come back to the council. So maybe by the February 22nd meeting, the zoning board would have a temporary use permit recommendation to you. What is it, 19th? February 19th, I stand corrected. And then potentially you could grant them approval to open in an interim basis.
I think that's your best bet.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it. Where do I get the application?
My office. So if you want to call us tomorrow and speak to the planning board secretary, Eileen Urbano, and she will get you the application.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good luck.
Good
Thank
luck,
you.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Michelle Resnick?
That was actually me.
Oh, that's you, okay. Kathy Novak?
Hello, Kathy Novak, 16 Stratton Drive, Howell. I have a question regarding 9A21 for Haystack Glen. And I'm just curious, because I've been following this, and I live in the area, as to why this township is not going to take the dedication of open space.
Jim, please.
Absolutely. Good evening, Kathy. The general answer is this happened for far too many years where the developers would build a complex, build a subdivision, and then they would give us the open space, which basically meant they would give us a detention basin that now we do not have the staff or means to maintain. So once again, this developer is asking us, hey, we're going to give you the open space, which essentially is stuff that's unbuildable and only costs us money in maintenance, and let us have that detention basin, and then any of the space that's already restricted, let's say the wetlands, the riparian zones, all that stuff, he's trying to give us that too. And what happens is when a tree falls from that property onto the brand-new residence property and crushes their fence, the township's responsible, right? So that property can't be built. We don't want to maintain it. So we're basically saying, no, we don't want it. You can keep it. You can have your homeowners association deal with it. So when that tree falls, it's not DPW that has to run out there, cut it down, pay for a brand-new fence, pay for damage to their shed, pay for damage to the pool, which unfortunately happens in many cases around town right now. So that's why we're not willing to accept the detention basin as the open space for this development.
Okay, so I was at the meeting where the developer came for an extension of time, and the attorney said that they've already had 2 years of extension, and they granted them 1 more year as an extension of time. So I'm not sure if the resolution says that this
That's
is,
a question for the board.
Isn't it,
this is their last
wasn't that
year.
done on the planning board?
It's a planning board case, so that would be a question for the planning board.
Yeah, but it's on the resolution that you're approving tonight. It says there was 1 year in 2017 and 1 year in 2018. Okay, so 2019 is where they came for 2019. So they came for a 2-year extension at the planning board, and the lawyer said that they can't do that because they can only have 3 years.
Right.
So this is their third time.
Right, but this isn't related to the extension of time. This is related to accepting the open space or rejecting the open space dedication.
Okay, so,
The application will still go forward if they choose to take it forward.
right.
We're not-
The plan, you see, unfortunately, I wasn't around when this plan was approved. Anyway, I live across the street from it, so another concern I have about is the property. It's woods, and it's like a lot of woods in Howell. When you drive by, it becomes a dumping ground and of garbage. And is there any way for that developer to be told that he should clean up that area? Because it doesn't look like it's going to be developed anytime soon.
I'm sure we can send code enforcement to ask him to clean the property. My first suggestion would be to stop telling all the people that are in Howell throwing stuff out the window.
I understand
Be a
that,
little
but
responsible for yourself. But yes, we can send code enforcement over there to ask him to clean up the property.
I absolutely understand that about the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
Is there anyone out there that would like to come up that has not put their name on the list?
Evening, Mayor Council.
Evening.
I'm Jerry Barron, 37 Danilo Way in Howell. I have 2 updates. I'd like to ask Brian one and Jim Herman another one if I can. Brian, any update on the charging station that we're supposed to get for cars?
I have not heard anything. Brian Greenfield from DPW has taken that on, so I'll check with him and I'll send you an email.
Have you considered where it's going?
Nothing's been finalized yet. We had talked about outside the building here. We had discussed the possibility of the park and ride, trying to see where we'd get the most activity out of it.
All right, well, if you hear anything, you can let me know.
Sure.
Jim, I think last April, maybe we went to a DEP meeting in Freehold about aquifers. Brick wanted to borrow or get water from our aquifers for their purposes, and Lakewood wanted to. Has the DEP ruled on that yet?
In Freehold?
We went to a meeting in Freehold about aquifers.
Or you're talking about the water allocation permit in Brick that we went to?
Okay, and Brick was, okay.
As far as I know, no, I have not heard anything. I did reach out to my counterpart in Brick, I want to say about a month ago, and have not heard anything. So I don't know what they're doing with it.
Did Lakewood ever put theirs in?
I believe they did.
They did, all right.
I
But
believe.
no hearing date's been arranged.
I don't think anything's been decided with them either.
All right, okay. And just quickly, I know on the agenda you have a resolution, which I'm hoping you're going to pass, but it's about the ERI, Environmental Resource Inventory. I'm just thanking you for the Environmental Commission and the Green Team, because we could use your support. So if you can, vote for it. It would be good. And tying in with that, the Planning Board Subcommittee is looking for guidance from council of what element to look into this year. And if I can suggest something, I like to do the conservation element, which has the ERI in it, so you could kind of tie it in. Just a little thought for you to consider. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jerry. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Joan Osborne, 28 Bronia Street, Howell. I have a question about two items on the consent agenda. The first one being 19-55, the award of a contract for tax collection advisory services. I looked at the resolution, and I would like to get a little more information on what exactly that is and what type of professional is providing that. And I'd like to know if a request for proposal was sent out, if there was more than one response, and who or what entity is getting this, and what we expect them to do for $165 an hour.
Brian?
This is to conduct an evaluation of our tax collector's office. We have received many complaints about the operations in there, from residents, from elected officials, from employees. So this firm that, we did do an RFP, we only had one response. The gentleman that owns the company, John Barrett, is placing a licensed tax collector to evaluate this and make suggestions for improvement.
Okay. The amount that's listed, $25,000, is that a maximum?
Yes.
Okay. The other question I had is a follow-up on the rejection of the open space. If the town doesn't accept the open space dedication from the developer, does that mean that the developer is able to do something with that parcel that is not consistent with what they got approved? Does it have to remain open space? Or are they free since the dedication
Well,
was?
it's the property in question is a detention basin and riparian buffers and wetlands. So they're restricted, they can't do anything on it anyway, and the detention basin, they're required to keep by their approval.
Okay, so they can't put a playground there or do
No.
any building? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Anyone else need to come up? I will close this section of the meeting. I will, is there any discussion here regarding the consent agenda? I will ask for a motion.
I'd like to motion to move 9A1 through 9A21, excluding 9A16 and 9A17. 9A17, I believe, is an appointment. Those two should be separated.
Gonna do 9A1?
And then 9A1 as well. I will exclude that as well. Thank you.
Second.
Roll.
Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Okay, so what was the first number?
9A1?
Oh, forgive me. Can I have a motion for 9A1? Is anybody having a problem with to get the resolutions online? I can't, it's not letting me in.
The first
Or,
link's not working.
or which
All three
version
links.
of the
All
links?
3 links are not working.
The first one wasn't working for me.
Yeah, it depends on the type of computer, which is why we always send 3.
Right, I usually use the middle one,
okay.
but it's not working. I don't know why.
Are you on your iPad?
Yeah?
Worked for me.
Is anyone else having problems with links?
Just the first one.
I don't know why. What if it's just Wi-Fi on? So can I,
Are you, when you click on it, are you holding down on the blue link? Like it's just not working, right?
no, I go in, no, I have the book.
You're on the PDF version?
It's saying to verify who I am, so it says connect and continue, so I do that, and then it comes up that says it's unable to connect. I'm not sure why. That's fine, I'm not gonna worry about it now.
If you try on the HTM version of the link with your iPad, click and hold on it, and then when you get it to pop up, it should bring you into open a new tab. Trust me, just click and hold on that link.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm having a technical difficulty here. On the middle one?
Yeah.
And just do open?
Click and open and say, does it give you an option for open in a new tab?
No.
Does it say open?
It says verify you're a person.
I don't know what you have going on. That CAPTCHA thing?
A little scary. Okay, may I have a motion for 9A1?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to memorialize 9A1 as well as 9A16. And
I believe we're doing those all individually.
then I will make a motion for 9A1, Mayor.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
No.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
No. 9A21?
16?
Okay.
I'll make a motion for 9A16, Mayor. Proposed application of inclusion of Resource Engineering LLC in the Monmouth County Solid Waste Management Plan as a proposed solid waste transfer station at Block 5, Lot 434, Randolph Road in Howell Township.
I'll second that.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. And now 9A21, is that right?
17.
Oh, dog nabbit.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to memorialize Resolution 9A17.
With the appointment of?
Aren't we just going to do the whole lot, the whole group?
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have that list?
I don't have that list.
I do. May I?
Absolutely, thank you.
Sockler, Karina, Stewart, Wade, and
Integra.
Integra.
That's correct.
I
May I
make
have
a
a
motion for those people.
Can I have a second?
I second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Sorry, I was writing them down, I apologize.
That's right, I was waiting for them to be finished.
Now is it 21? I mean, I had to say it because I just said it every time.
I'd like to make a motion to reject the dedication of open space and the detention basin on Haystack Glen.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. you. Okay, motion 9B1. Is there a member that we're going to appoint to any of the boards at this point?
Well, if I may, I did, for the Municipal Alliance, there were several people that put in applications. I would not be unwilling to nominate all of the ones that have put in applications. Krista Riddle's always trying to increase the membership of that particular alliance. So if you would indulge me, that would be Veronica Gowling, Paul Mazzio, Tammy Teliamode, Robert Imperato, and Susan Domingos.
I would second that.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. Okay, 9B2.
Mayor, I think 9B 2, 3, 4 can be grouped. Let me just make sure, 5 and 6. Unless you want them separate, then we'll do separate roll calls.
No, we could do it
9B 2 through
Through
9B 6
9B6.
motions.
Pardon me, Mayor, you have a mobile home
Oh, I
rent control
apologize.
board you need to appoint?
9B1, Mayor?
Well, I just, I have not gotten any
That's on the
new
Applications?
applications.
We do need to make the correction from the January 1 meeting. There was 2 that were switched. I think Mr. Ruiz was appointed as a member. He should be the alternate park owner. I think that's listed. Hang on, let me just grab my
They're on
notes.
the whole alliance.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, the park owner is Mr. Robert Ruiz, so he would be the one-year term. The non-tenant for a 3-year term would be William Stanton. I believe that the two were just transposed on the line.
Exactly. Right, during that motion, so we could just make that correction.
Okay.
And that is my motion.
Okay?
I second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. At this point, I'd like to open for public hearing on any of the ordinances listed this
Okay,
evening.
we do need to go back to that motion.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. So we did the appointments to the boards and committees, but now we do need to go back to 9B2 through 9B6.
I'll make a motion for 9B2 through 9B6.
I'll second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes. So we took off the first one, right? We tabled that to the next meeting?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's 11.2.
Yes.
Who would like to read the ordinance?
I can do that.
Anybody?
Bear with me. A motion to introduce ordinance number 092 on first reading by title and to order the same to be published in the January 30th, 2018 issue of the Tri-Town News, together with notice of its introduction and passage on first reading by title, and that it'll be further considered for final passage after public hearing at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on February 9th, 2019, at 7:30 PM prevailing time in the municipal building.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Title of ordinance, an ordinance of the Township of Howell amending Chapter 53-10 entitled Hours and Days of Sale of the Revised General Ordinances of the Township of Howell. Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, ma'am. Is there any unfinished business? What?
Additional.
A sheet.
Want me to read this?
Oh,
A motion to add,
The Asbury Park
Yes.
Press?
yes.
Resolution number R-19-62, resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Howell naming additional official newspaper of the township for year 2019. Whereas it is necessary to designate an official newspaper to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act and the other official requirements of the Township of Howell for the year 2019. And on January 1, 19, the Star Ledger and Tri-Town News were designated as official papers. The governing body of the Township of Howell wishes to designate an additional paper in 2019, so let it be resolved that the Township of Howell is adding the Asbury Park Press.
I will make a motion to accept that.
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, and I just want to say thank you all for doing this. Is there anything? Everything is no unfinished business? So I would like to give you some information. The next regular meeting is February 5th, 2019, and the following meeting is February 19, 2019. Both begin at 6:30 executive, 7:30 for regular session. Anything else? I would entertain a motion to end the meeting.
Motion to close?
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, Mr. Bonovich?
Yes.
Ms. Richmond?
Yes.
Mr. Russo?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.